Bye, I'm going for groceries.
Get a lot of likes from me, Carlo.
I know, we've all been there. We wake up in the morning, we're gonna go do our errands, and we think to ourselves, man, I just think today's the right day to carry an epic combat survival knife. It just feels right today. And then you step out your front door, realize you live in a perfectly reasonable neighborhood in suburbia, and you say to yourself, there's absolutely no reasonable or decent way to carry an 8-inch blade out into this area. And you return to your home in shame. And you think, why? Why is there not a survival blade I can carry? Aha! A solution exists. And Benchmade has got your back. Introducing, it's not really new, the Benchmade 275 Adamas. And while the image outside of my front door is not a post-apocalyptic survival scene, most definitely the image outside of my back door in the unfinished restoration project or renovation project in my yard is. So let's take a look at what this knife can do. See, I told you, the apocalypse hit my yard. God save us all. Oh, puppy. The ancient Greek word for invincible is Adamas, and since the pommel of this knife looks suspiciously like a hammer, I assumed Benchmade wanted me to hit bricks with it. Benchmade did not account for idiots with bricks. When considering what this knife is capable of, note, this is not one of those things. So assuming that I damaged the ego of the knife, I went and found something that did not stand a chance against D2 steel, a rain-soaked chunk of soft pine, of which the Benchmade made short order. Suck it, pine. This is where it does show its prowess as a survival tool, though. Check that out. Damage. Finish him. Bang, smash. As all consummate and professional knife reviewers know you must do, I then went and made some feathers on a stick. And was actually super surprised. It did a really good job for being such a beefy edge. And in my professionalism, I also refused to make any other notches or any other carving techniques. Although, if you're willing to take my word for it, it does a decent job at that too. Hyperspeed! In order to test its chopping abilities, I pretended I was stuck in the woods of Transylvania and had to stab a stake into the giant heart of Dracula's Neanderthal cousin. And as I progressed, I was praying he drank his zombie juice because clearly this would not happen in any timely fashion. And being tired from the hunt, I thought, yeah, I'll make a shelter and spend the night here. So I went to chop up my Transylvania tree to build a delightful, luxurious bushcraft shelter. And fortunately, I'm assuming it's and hoping it's summertime because, again, none of this happens in any short order. Though, I am comforted knowing I can do it. Screw it. I'll just sleep on the ground. This throw is why I chose to build a giant steak weapon, because obviously I do not have the skills. Fortunately, I can stab the shit out of anything, so to your doom, creosote log! To your doom. And I'm getting tired. And if you're anything like me, you find the bulk of your pocket knife use ending up in the kitchen, where you're just too lazy to go grab a knife out of the drawer. There's some everyman meat of bacon, the everyman root of onion. Love me some onion. Here's the other everyman root of potato. Actually, this is probably the most everyman root in existence. Look at those slices. Totally respectable thickness. Could have gone thinner, just saying. And if you are purchasing and owning a pocketable survival knife and have no interest in having it help turn animals into food, then you need to choose another knife. Here I am quartering out a rabbit. Grow up. Where do you think all of your meat comes from? Like that bacon I just cut. Rabbit bacon. And lest we forget our oversized, bulky letter openers. It can do that too. So it may seem crazy on the surface to be comparing the legendary USMC K-Bar to the Siebert design Benchmade 275 Adamas, but hear me out. When this was designed for the United States Marine Corps in World War II, the intent was to have a more or less indestructible knife that was capable of fighting as well as doing utility everyday tasks in the field. That's why we ended up with this particular design that we have. It's huge, it's sturdy, it's burly, it's reliable, bam. Enter modern day with the Shane Siebert design with D2 steel, G10 handle scales, and everything else. They basically took this general concept, the idea of having a fighting utility knife, and put it into a folder. And there's a lot of other folders out there that may be more epic or indestructible than this, but none of them are really pocketable and EDCable. They're not reasonable to carry and use with ease, and this one absolutely is. Now, it's kind of one of those things where, do you need a folding survival knife? Chances are you may not. That's fine. Don't buy this knife. However, if you are the individual that either wants to have the indestructible, survivable style knife at your disposal and want it in a more compact and easy to carry package, then bam, this is your money, son, right here. If you are the kind of person that needs a knife that just won't ever quit and will carry on for days and days and decades forever, then bam, this is your knife. If you're the kind of person that wants a super discreet, lightweight, nearly invisible knife that doesn't scare people when you pull it out, then bam, this is not the knife for you, son. But you can't really say this is not an awesome knife. It's really just a matter of, is this the thing you're after? I think for your most average individual out there, and I mean, just look, the weight of the blade just does it. I'm just like, boom. All I did was drop it, and it opened itself. Boom, it closed itself. It's heavy. It's heavy duty. But if you're an average Joe weekend warrior, office EDC knife kind of guy, this is probably not your knife. But if you're that lineman, construction worker, wilderness instructor, although you probably have a fixed blade if you're doing wilderness stuff, but that's beside the point. Operator, perhaps, then this is a phenomenal knife, and I think it will not let you down. It will not disappoint. Its blade grind and blade profile does leave it less capable of performing tasks of other things, but then again, if you're a practiced and competent knife user, you will just learn how to make the knife do the tasks you need based on what it does and how you manage it. That's how a lot of knives work. They're all capable of doing whatever you need them to, so long as you learn how to manage it and you adjust yourself. And this one will just not let you down. I didn't push it to its full limits out there in those tests just because it's one of those, I don't want to train myself out of respecting the potential of a lock failure. It's why I don't go into haunted houses, because when a guy jumps out at me in a dark space, I want to punch him in the face. And I don't want to train myself to not punch people in the face when they jump out at me, so I don't go into haunted houses, and that's the kind of same thing. But it's kind of nice knowing that, you know, in my pocket, I could push it. On the Benchmade website, they have a video of applying pressure to the lock, and it fails. It fails, just bends slightly at 8,000 pounds of pressure, I think. So it's one of those things. This thing is EDCable. It totally is. It may not be appropriate to do it, but you absolutely can do it, and it will perform EDC functions. And again, it may not be appropriate, but it will certainly fulfill the needs of an EDC blade. And if this is your cup of tea, then I encourage you to help yourself to one of these knives in your near future. They are expensive, but $200-ish brand new, and around $120 to $150 used on eBay. Comes with this sweet little pouch. If you're not much of a pocket person and you want to pouch it or attach it to some kind of webbing on a pack or a vest or a belt or whatever, you have this option as well. Anyway, there's my take on the Benchmade 275 Adamas. If you like this, please like it, subscribe it, throw any ideas, comments, questions, concerns down into the sections below. If you're interested in either of these knives, they'll be linked below. They're affiliate links, and they do help over time support the functioning of this channel. And if you really love what I do, hit me up on Patreon and become a supporter of the channel. Godspeed. Make love, not war, but always be ready for it, I guess. And remember, whatever you do for this land, you do for everybody. Okay, bye.